Hello. Welcome to this video. We are going to find out which team was the most successful team across formats from the last decade. That is, from 2011 to 2020. It's an honest effort to find that elusive answer, and do post your opinions in the comments section. And also, subscribe to my channel, which will serve as a motivation for me to come up with more of these videos. Well, here we go. The following are the criterias used to measure the performance of 10 topmost cricket teams in the world from the past decade. We focus on the series victories, overseas wins, performance in big tournament, and the ability to play the crunch games, the consistency in performance, and also the dominance at the top of the rankings across formats. So what are we waiting then? Here we go. There are a lot more in store for you viewers. The best of one-day internationals. A one-day international ODI is a form of limited overs cricket, played between two teams with international status, in which each team faces a fixed number of overs, currently 50, used to be 60 overs until 1983, with the game lasting up to 8 hours. The Cricket World Cup, generally held every 4 years, is played in this format. Also, the Champions Trophy is also held every 4 years and is played in this format as well. Apart from these, we see bilateral and tri-nation series and few other tournaments consisting of more than 2 teams involved. The ICC, International Cricket's governing body, maintains the ICC ODI rankings for teams, batsmen, bowlers and all-rounders. The following are the criterias used for the analysis backed up by data. Number 1, the World Cup performance. Number 2, the Champions Trophy performance. Number 3, global ODI rankings supremacy. And finally, the overseas performances and results of other major tournaments, events, and trophies. Performance at the Cricket World Cup. The first Cricket World Cup of the decade was held at the Indian subcontinent, comprises of India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, in 2011. The next one was held in Australia and New Zealand in 2015. Then the last one of the decade was held at England in 2019. In 2011, India was the winner, with Sri Lanka being the runners-up. In 2015, Australia won the World Cup, and New Zealand finished second in the race. In 2019, again, it was the Kiwis who finished second best in the tournament, with the hosts, England, winning the cup for the first time. Well, the hosts had the upper hand in the all-3 edition of the 50-over World Cup of the decade, with India becoming the first nation to win a World Cup at home soil, and the honour was passed on to the Aussies and finally the English as well. Now, have a look at the stats regarding performance at the knockout stages of the tournament. It clearly depicts that India holds the upper hand. India had the most wins, shared highest win-to-loss ratio, whereas New Zealand appeared more during the knockout stages, but sadly gifting themselves most defeats. A semi-final exit in 2011, and defeats in the final lap to become the world champions in the last 2 editions of the World Cup. But their last loss in the finals in 2019 was a bit hard to swallow, as England won based on the boundary count when the match ended in a tie at Lord's, the Mecca of cricket, paying way to one of the most dramatic and controversial finals ever. The performance at the group stages of the World Cup. It's evident that India have won the highest number of group-level matches. Adding to their glorious past, the 5-time champions Australia is the most consistent team in the group stages. In overall, it's hands down India when it comes to overall performance in the World Cup. Performance at the Champions Trophy. The ICC Champions Trophy is a one-day international cricket tournament organised by the International Cricket Council, and is second in importance only to the 50-over World Cup. Since 2006, 8 teams have played in 2 pools of 4 in a round-robin format, with the top 2 teams in each pool playing in the semi-finals. Losing a single match potentially means elimination from the tournament. A total of 15 matches are played in the present format of the tournament, with the tournament lasting about 2.5 weeks. Winners of Champions Trophy. In 2013, India defeated the host England to win their second ever Champions Trophy in a dramatic rain-curtailed final. In 2017, it was in England again, but a bright and sunny day for cricket, with the defending champions India in the final, up against their arch-rival, Pakistan, and, in a fairly one-sided affair, Pakistan rolled over India, with an emphatic win, to claim their maiden trophy. The irony was, it's the same Pakistan, which India defeated in the group stage. But Pakistan defy all odds. They defeated the hosts in the semi-finals to cruise to the final, and they defeated the reigning champions India in the final to give their neighbour a demoralising defeat. And addition to this, one hell of a truth was that Pakistan didn't even win a single game in the 2013 edition of the tournament. What a turnaround! Performance at the knockout stages. As you can see, India have won the most number of knockout matches. Meanwhile, Pakistan has the high win-to-loss ratio. The most losses in knockout stages has been registered by England. The most appearance in knockout stages has been made by 2 times champions India, while former champions Australia, West Indies, and New Zealand failed to get into the knockouts. Interestingly, Bangladesh registered their maiden advancement to the semi-finals in 2017 edition of the tournament. So, take a look at performance at the group stages of the tournament. The most wins has been registered by India and England. The most losses has been registered by Pakistan, and thus becoming the least consistent team in the tournament. When it comes to performances in knockout stages as well as group stages, it's India who is at the top of the tree, followed by Pakistan and England respectively. The ACC Asia Cup is a men's one-day international and 2020 international cricket tournament. It was established in 1983 when the Asian Cricket Council was founded as a measure to promote goodwill between Asian countries. It was originally scheduled to be held every 2 years. After downsizing the Asian Cricket Council in 2015, it was announced by the ICC that Asia Cup events from 2016 would be played on a rotation basis between one-day international and 2020 international format, on the basis of the format of upcoming world events. As a result, the 2016 event was the first event played in the T20 format and functioned as a preparatory tournament ahead of the 2016 ICC World 2020. India, with 7 titles, 6 ODI and 1 T20, is the most successful team in the tournament. Pakistan won the 2012 edition of the tournament by beating Bangladesh in the final at Dhaka. Pakistan stunned Bangladesh in the last ball thriller to achieve their second Asia Cup title after 2000. The 2014 Asia Cup was the 12th edition of the Asia Cup cricket tournament. The tournament was held in Bangladesh. This was the first 50-over tournament in which Afghanistan took part. Sri Lanka beat Pakistan in the final to become Asia Cup champions for the 5th time. The 2016 Asia Cup was a 2020 international cricket tournament that was held in Bangladesh. It was the 13th edition of the Asia Cup, the 5th to be held in Bangladesh, and the first to be played using the T20I format. Bangladesh hosted the tournament for the 3rd consecutive time after 2012 and 2014. India beat Bangladesh by 8 wickets in the final to win their 6th Asia Cup title and were unbeaten throughout the tournament. The 2018 Asia Cup was a one-day international cricket tournament that was held in the United Arab Emirates, and the 3rd time the tournament was played in the United Arab Emirates. India were the defending champions, and retained their title after beating Bangladesh by 3 wickets in the final to claim their 7th title. The most successful team has been India with most number of trophies as well as the most number of matches won. The most defeats in knockout stages has been suffered by Bangladesh, and the least consistent team has been Sri Lanka in the tournament. Performance abroad in the ODI format of the game. The most overseas series win is for Pakistan with 17, followed by Australia with 16 series, and 13 each for England and India. Does the series win alone matters? No, so we have excluded wins in Zimbabwe, Ireland, Scotland and Netherlands. So once we do that adjustment, we could see Australia top the table with 12 series win, followed by India with 10, and we have England, Pakistan and South Africa with 9 series win as well. As you can see, Pakistan have had the most number of series win against the Minnows, with 8 under their belt, and the least has been for New Zealand, South Africa and India. ODI Rankings Supremacy. The ICC ODI Championship is an international one-day international cricket competition run by the International Cricket Council. The competition is notional in that it is simply a ranking scheme overlaid on the regular ODI match schedule. After every ODI match, the 2 teams involved receive points based on a mathematical formula. Each team's points total is divided by their total number of matches played to give a rating, and all the teams are ranked in a table in order of rating. When it comes to the ODI rankings, it's Australia who is at the top, with a tenure of 55 months and 4 days in the last decade. Then we have England with 34 months, India with 17.5 months, and South Africa with 11.75 months. The most successful is Australia and the most frequent to the number 1 position is India, jumping into the position for 6 times during the last decade. So who got the edge? Is it Australia? Or is it India? India have been phenomenal in World Cups, Champions Trophy, Asia Cup and also in the world rankings and winning abroad. Australia has been equally good with winning the World Cup like the Indians did, consistent throughout, but have not played well in the Champions Trophy as expected, but they have dominated the rankings. So, where is the tide moving? Well, it's a tricky one. But it's slightly in the favor of India because of their all-round effort. They have won the World Cup, they defeated Australia, the defending champions, to progress to the semi-final, which ended Australia's continued supremacy. They became the first nation to win the World Cup in home soil under enormous pressure. When it comes to Champions Trophy, they were very consistent, and they also clinched multilateral tournaments like Asia Cup, Tri-Nation Series in West Indies. They won tough series in England, South Africa and Australia. Adding all to that, they were good when it came around ranking as well. So eventually I have to give it to India for their all-round effort. Masters in International 2020 Cricket. A 2020 International is a form of cricket, played between 2 of the international members of the ICC, in which each team faces a maximum of 20 overs. The matches have top-class status and are the highest T20 standard. The game is played under the rules of 2020 cricket. The criteria. The criteria for performance analysis is based on the World Cup performance, the global T20 international ranking supremacy, overseas performances and other tournament results. ICC Men's T20 World Cup is the international championship of 2020 international cricket organised by cricket governing body the International Cricket Council. The tournament currently consists of 16 teams, comprising the top 10 teams on the rankings at the given deadline and 6 other teams chosen through the T20 World Cup qualifier. 6 tournaments have so far been played, and only the West Indies, who currently holds the title, has won the tournament on multiple occasions, and Sri Lanka being the first team to play in 3 finals. So here is the list of winners. West Indies won the 2012 edition of the T20 World Cup by beating Sri Lanka in Colombo. In 2014, Sri Lanka defeated India to win their maiden T20 World Cup in their 3rd appearance in the final at Dhaka. And again in 2016 it's the West Indies who defeated England at the Eden Gardens to win their 2nd trophy. And who can forget Ian Bishop's commentary, Carlos Brathwaite, remember the name. Don't we remember him for scoring 24 in the final over with 4 back-to-back sixes? So when it comes to the knockout stage, the most win and the highest win-loss ratio is to the West Indies. Most losses has been suffered by India. And when it comes to group stage performance, it's India with most wins, and Bangladesh with most losses, and the most consistent team has been India. So, here is a trivia. Most losses in group stage has been suffered by Bangladesh, with 10 losses. That means they have never won a single group match in the last 3 editions of the World Cup. Most losses in knockout matches has been suffered by India, and on the other hand they have had the second most win in knockout matches. Pretty interesting, right? So who is the best in World Cups? Hands down, West Indies. They are going to top the table, followed by Sri Lanka and England. Why is England here? Few of the Indian fans might be thinking, why not India at 3rd position? Well, that's a valid point. India should be there, because they have been consistent in the group stages. The issue was their highest losses in knockout, whereas England have qualified for the final once. They lost, much like India, but the overall win-to-loss proportion was high for England. But still, India should be there, since they were always there and thereabout, whereas England have never been in the dominant position apart from 2016. So it's the West Indies, Sri Lanka, England and India, to be honest. So these are the other major tournaments or special matches which happened during the last decade. Cricket All-Stars in 2015, Sachin's Blasters vs Warne's Warriors, and the winners were Warne's Warriors, and the matches took place at the United States of America. Asia Cup 2016 was a T20 affair prior to the 2016 T20 World Cup. And India won the trophy. Then India went on to win the Nidehas Trophy, which was held in Sri Lanka, as they ended up beating Bangladesh in the final ball of the match yet again. Then, we had World 11 vs Pakistan in 2017, the Independence Cup, with the host Pakistan being the winners of the series. Then we had World 11 vs West Indies Hurricane Relief T20 Challenge in Lords, in which West Indies won in the year 2018. Then, we had Bushfire Cricket Bash 2020, in which Pontings 11 locked horns with Gilchrist 11 and Pontings 11 won the match. And we also had Road Safety World Series 2020 in India, until the pandemic struck India and lockdown were implemented. T20 international performances abroad. So the table shows the total series wins abroad. We can see that Pakistan and India top the table with 12 series wins abroad. And we need to consider the other tournaments and series that held in foreign territories, such as Nidehas Trophy, Asia Cup 2016 and Hurricane Relief T20 Challenge. So we can say that India have the upper hand despite Pakistan being portrayed at the top. So the table shows the total series wins abroad excluding the series wins at Zimbabwe, Ireland, Scotland and Netherlands. Again, it's India who is at the top, followed by England, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Again, we could see a subcontinental supremacy. T20 rankings supremacy. It's Sri Lanka who tops with 1064 days at the top, followed by Pakistan at 2nd position. So here we have the T20 International Ranking Supremacy Table. We have Sri Lanka at the top, being at number 1 for 1064 days, and Pakistan with 884 days, at the top. So, who is the winner for the T20I format for the last decade? Well, in general, the subcontinental teams have been dominant force. India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka have done well, with the mighty West Indies dominating the global events, and England are a force to recognize. Here we go, we have the collage of best celebrations from the past decade. We have the Nagin dance, the Champions dance from Bravo and Gale, the celebrations from Afghan players, typical Imran Tahir wicket celebration, the rock stars from India, Shikhar Dhwan and Virat Kohli, then we have Cottrell and Williams with some West Indian flair. Purest form of cricket, the test matches. So the criteria for judging performance in test matches will be based on global test match ranking supremacy, and also the overseas series wins by the teams. So here is the table showing the overseas performance by each teams. Bangladesh doesn't have an overseas test series win, whereas England have 5 overseas win, India have 6, New Zealand have 4, Pakistan have 7 and so does South Africa and Sri Lanka. Then, we have the West Indies, having 4 series wins and Australia, having 5 series under their kitty. And these are the results. If we deduct the series wins against Zimbabwe, Ireland, and Afghanistan. In that case, India along with South Africa, is at the top with 8 series in hands. And these are the results. If we deduct the series wins against West Indies, and Bangladesh. The result shows that, South Africa is at the top with 6 series wins, and England with 5 series, at the second position. So, here is an interesting analysis. We have only considered the subcontinental series wins of teams from SANA countries, and series win in SANA countries of teams from the subcontinent. SANA stands for South Africa, England, New Zealand, and Australia, and the subcontinental teams are India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. From this it is clear that Sri Lanka had series win in England and South Africa, which are alien to them. England had a series win in India, India has series win in Australia, New Zealand had a series win in UAE versus Pakistan, and Pakistan defeated New Zealand as well, and we have South Africa and Australia winning series in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, meanwhile, appearing 2 times in the receiving end as well. The overseas performances thus indicates that South Africa, England, India, and Sri Lanka have been the leading sides. In general, this decade has proven to be hostile for the touring sides. What does the ranking supremacy say? India have dominated rankings by a big margin with 52.5 months at the top. Followed by South Africa with 39 months. When it comes to frequency of moving up to the number 1 spot, it's again India. They have taken the driver's seat more than any other team. So, who got the sniff? Who got the edge? Well, it's a tricky one. India dominated as number 1 for a very long time. They started off as number 1 in the rankings. They went through a rebuilding process to regain the supremacy. South Africa did the same. They were dominant and boy, they had a wonderful all-round team, but now it's on the downside though. England's Ashes win and victory in India was phenomenal, as well as their overall visibility at the upper berth of the ranking system. Will just for the sake of regaining the spot and becoming the number 1 again, will give to India, and it's for the character that they showed as a test match team. Let's see if South Africa can bring back the old formidability in the coming decade, or will it be England again? Or their old enemy, the mighty Aussies? Well, the Kiwis are sneaking in between though, and who can write off the unpredictable Pakistan, the rebuilding Lankans and the Windies? Or will it be Bangladesh or Afghans scripting their own history to win their hearts? We have a fascinating decade of test match cricket ahead of us. With the inaugural Test Championships on the way, that will crown the ultimate winner. Let's wait till then. We'll leave you with some wonderful pictures from the past decade 2011-2020, and my team of the decade across Odin's test matches.